Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television talk show and radio talk show where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always so fun, and I always love talking with you. Continue sending email, donna@donnasedge.com. That's donna@donnasedge.com. You can find us on television. We are on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. We are on the radio, WZLA, and they are a big powerhouse in country music right here in South Carolina. So we appreciate being able to be with you that way as well. Again, continue with the emails. I appreciate every single one. You know, I've got Kiel Pankonien with me right now. Okay, I mispronounced your name again.
Yeah, it's Pankonien, but it's okay.
Well, try Fiesel. I've been called Fiesel, Friesel. I'll just call you Kyle. How about that?
That sounds good.
Thank you so much for being with me today. I know you've got a great ministry going. You've already aired on the country station here, and people liked you.
Well,
so that was a good one. So let's go ahead and get a little bit more into the ministry and how and what who thought up this ministry. It's a great one.
Well, you know, it's 25 years old, and so the former founder and owner in 2000 was part of the power team. If you remember the power team, those are the guys that went around ripping phone books and bending things and so you know, he came up with this idea of doing pro wrestling and doing ministry with it out of the power team. So, you know, 25 years he ran the ministry, and he had some health issues a couple years ago, and a major heart attack. Really shouldn't even be alive. He had a 100% blockage in his widowmaker, and had a heart attack, and they were able to save him. But ultimately, it was time for him to retire and you know, play with the grandkids and do his thing. So one thing that I did not want to happen was that somebody to get a hold of it and turn it more into a wrestling promotion versus a ministry. I personally felt there was way more for us to be able to do and actually serve versus just doing wrestling shows. So we met and made a deal, and I took over with two of my buddies, and we've taken what was already a really good wrestling ministry, but we've taken it into more of an outreach mission type ministry where we're doing more give back. We're doing more community involvement, and really we call it mission work, but our mission field is the direct community that we're in that kind of has built us over the times.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just have to, the ministry's there, and it can be in different forms. I have a friend who sings gospel music, and I really loved her song. And I said, you know something, you need to get this into the country stations as well. And she did her arms up like this, and she said, I don't think so. And I said, why not? I said, think about the person who they're down on life. They're about to commit suicide. And this was like one of those good songs that would just get you rocking. And I said, think about that person. They're probably not going to turn in the radio on a gospel station. They could be sitting at a bar with the radio on, and they could hear your song. And that can make all the difference in the world. So ministry is not always inside a church. It's in our everyday lives.
That's correct. And I think that's what makes us unique, because somebody that will never step foot into a church, they may love professional wrestling, and they come to a professional wrestling show, coming to watch wrestling. In our shows, every show you're going to get a testimony from one of our men, and you're also going to get a gospel presentation with an altar call at the end. That's how we do everything we do. So you step into a wrestling show, and then you hear Jesus for the first time. And so somebody that doesn't step in the church but comes to, kind of like you, if they're sitting in a bar and they listen to a song and it hits them right, well, they come to a wrestling show thinking they're going to have a good time, and then they have an encounter with Jesus, and then that's whenever he takes over. We can plant the seed, and then he can water it and make it grow. So we've had several cases like that, and a couple just recently that have really been inspirational.
What are some inspirationals that you would like to talk about?
Well,
People come away.
It was a couple shows ago, and I saw this group walk in, and we have majority of our wrestlers are part of our ministry. They're there every week. We work, we do Bible study together, but we also do have some wrestlers that we bring in. Mm-hmm. And so this group came in, and you could tell they came for the wrestling show. And after the show was over, one of the guys that we had brought in came up to me and wanted me to know that his friends were there, and they were atheists, and they came to watch him wrestle. Mm-hmm. But at the end of our gospel presentation, a little girl on the front row raised her hand and responded to the gospel. And one of the girls that was in this group that had come to see the wrestling show, she broke down and couldn't understand why. She had no clue. She just said that something about that little girl responding to what we were saying in the ring, made her emotional. And so what I was able to tell them was, that's the Holy Spirit trying to work inside of you, is what that is. The understanding is that is something that's working inside of you. So next time you have that feeling, at least you know what that is now. And then you grow from that. So, just the fact that simple small girl raising her hand triggered what I truly believe was the Holy Spirit in this person that didn't believe in God at all, enough to make her question what that feeling was. And we were able to provide an answer. Where does that go? I don't know. They haven't been back, but they may, because they love the wrestling show. So, we have those stories. One boy responded to the gospel, and I was able to help guide him and lead him through that. And I said, talked about next steps is baptism. And we happened to be at a travel show at a church. And the next thing I know is the pastor opened up the baptismal and says, if anybody's feeling led to be baptized. And it was just like, what? So I turned and looked at the boy, and he was like, so I was able to not only lead him to Christ, but I actually baptized him right there that night as well. And I follow the family, and they're still, it's just those things right there are amazing to us.
You just never know. Sometimes it could just be somebody you speak to the right way at the grocery store.
Exactly.
You just never know. So what does it mean to live your life as a Christian, not only in church, but other areas as well?
Yeah, so that's actually something that I'm going through. I'm also a youth pastor, so as we talked about last time I was on your show, youth really are my passion. Mm-hmm. And that's something we're going through, and we've been going through for several weeks now. And it's simple, but it's not. To live your life as a Christian, sadly, is not what you see majority of the people in our country doing right now. To live your life as a Christian is to love, to be there for people, to walk as Christ walked. Christ never separated himself from the people that should not have been around him. He went to the tax collectors. He went to the prostitutes. He went to the people, and he was shunned for that. And I think that's what we have to remember. We're not called, the church is not for us, for a believer. The church is for the non-believer, and we have to remember that. So to walk like Christ walks is simply treating people the way they deserve to be treated, no matter what their background is, what their maybe their religion may be. It doesn't matter. If we will love each other in a way that we respect each other, and that's a word that we don't do in this country anymore, is respect. That's what it looks like. There's so much more to it, but it's something that really, really, since we actually talked last time, I felt God has really been pushing me to not only figure it out, but to actually respond to it myself, where I would normally maybe walk away from somebody. Now I walk up to them and just love them. We don't have to accept and agree with maybe a lifestyle, but we're still called to love them, and then to show Jesus through our actions. So,
absolutely. The pastor of our church yesterday was talking about that. And he said, you know what? I just wanted to say I appreciate this church. And everybody just kind of, and he said, no, what I mean by that is you admit when you're broken. Mm-hmm. And then he conducts revivals and goes all over the place. And he said, I was at a church this past week, and he said, I felt like nobody needed me there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody had a perfect life. Everything was perfect about them. I can't think of anything perfect in my life. There's always something, that I need to be redeemed for.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I think we take for granted the goodness that God has. And I think that we tend to overlook when God's working in our favor, because we just feel that, everything's lining up. However, God's playing in everything, and even in the bad. Give all glory to God, and that's what I've had several conversations. But even when the things are going wrong, you have to find the glory that's in that, and it's through God. It's semi-tough, but I can tell you, it gets you through those things a lot easier if you can give God the glory and say, listen, I know you're about to do something amazing with this horrible situation I'm in. I have my heart and my ears open to you. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of lost right now, but do your thing. I trust you. I believe in you. And then sit back and watch. And you can actually, you hear all the time. I used to hear it all the time. A peace beyond any understanding, right? That is what he provides, but you have to be willing to let him do that and get the pride and get I can take care of myself out of the way.
Well, we get with the busyness of life. I mean, it's just, instant everything, instant coffee. And I don't want instant coffee now. I want mine brewed. But anyway, but instant everything. And I think that if we're not careful, it carries on into our religious life, if you want to call it that, where you think you got to have everything in an instant.
Absolutely.
And I'm just going to say, I'm one of those, like a house has to fall on top of my head. So I have to go through these trials. I mean, apparently God goes, you're the dumbest of the flock, Donna. And so I'm going to have to really hang it over you so that you'll get it. But when I do get it, I get it. But then we'll think, well, I got it all now. And then exactly. I start a step, and then it happens again.
Well, and especially in the business world, you get promoted. I went from really the lowest to the low, all the way up to second in command in my last career. And at that time in my life, it was, man, I worked hard for this. Look what I did.
Yeah.
And then it all was just gone one day, and then now where I'm at, it's what God did. It has nothing to do with what I've done. I've been obedient. I went from running from God to running to God, and it's just a completely different lifestyle. And when you are in the lifestyle for yourself, then it's actually a very miserable lifestyle when you look back on it. When you're in your lifestyle for God and give him all the glory, then it's actually a very peaceful one. And I've lived both. And it's hard to explain that to people. But that is one true thing, that like I am sold out and always will be sold out for Jesus now, because I've lived both sides of this. And I can tell you, even life hasn't changed. It's still hard, but it is completely different when you can, turn to Jesus. He gets you through it, versus turn to nobody, because there's nobody there for you in those times. No matter what kind of family you have, it's not going to be good enough, or friends you have, it's never going to be good enough. So
that's why I'm a follower of Jesus, because people only want to be with you in the happy times.
That's right.
Or when you've got money, or when you've got this, or when you've got that. And the only thing for the most part, I've just found that with family. And so, and some of the people that I thought were the hardest and most cruel people on earth wound up being the ones who supported me the most.
Yeah.
I thought they were cruel because they were telling me the truth. They weren't cruel at all. They loved me.
Yeah. Yep. They do. And and the other thing is, sometimes the people that you think are cruel, this is my personal experience. The ones, kind of goes with what you said, the ones you think were out to get you are the ones that were there to support you, to be there for you. They were the ones that, I went through a situation where, I don't remember if we talked about it last time, but at 36, I had a stroke. And I had spent 18 years in law enforcement, and one person out of that whole group came to see me. Mm-hmm. And this man, actually the former founder of our ministry, I had met him once. That's how I got connected to this ministry. I'd only met him once, and he found out I was in the hospital and checked on me. And that's truly where my life started changing, because I was like, wait a minute. These people I've laid my life down for don't care. Mm-hmm. But this man I met once. And so that was the beginning of my new story. And it's now, looking at it, it's all the people that I was shutting down and shutting out of my life that were the ones that were trying to get me through that time. I just didn't want it at the time.
They'll be the ones who have your back.
Yep.
I always remember my English teacher, and I was really, really shy in school. As a matter of fact, when I graduated from high school, I was quietest. And you'll see me in the high school annual holding up a sign that says "Quiet, please." I'm in the library with another guy, but my family were having troubles, and so my dad was a minister, and then it was a rough marriage. It was not at home like it was in church, right. And so a lot of people are raised that way, Kyle, where at home it's different than it is in church, and a lot of those folks turn into atheists because it's a living wonder that I found Jesus. I mean, it's a living wonder, because I could have easily said, no, that's not for me. I could have easily turned into an atheist. And then I wondered why. I mean, why did I have to go through this, God? I mean, why did I have to go through all of this, And then my parents got a divorce. Well, that was the scandal. And being in a small town in Alabama, you can just about imagine. And so it was a horrible scandal. And they went to court, and attorneys and court calls wound up getting most of what they had, which was ridiculous. And so then I could have easily done that. But then a friend of mine, whose parents were in the ministry as well, I thought they had the perfect life. I would just dream about mine being, well, guess what? Their life was the exact same way. So she came to me one day. I didn't even know she wasn't even paying me any attention. So she came to me one day and she said, I guess you've heard my parents are getting a divorce. We were in our 30s then. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And she said, I just wanted to come to you. How did you go through this? How did you go through your parents being the pillars of the community, getting a divorce, and everybody finding out how they really were? Yeah. I said, I'm not going to tell you it was easy. It was hard. Mm-hmm. But we have to go through those things, I think, not to help ourselves necessarily, but to help other people. It right. Made me feel good, because I felt like she was on the verge of suicide. I did, just from talking to her. And I had to tell you, I thought about it too. Sometimes you think, I just can't handle it anymore. I gotta, can't handle it. And so I have a fear for people. You can put me in a stadium with 1,000 kids. I'll point the ones out who are having issues with family life.
Yep.
And man, there's more of that, Kyle. There's more of it. And your ministry is just the perfect thing. You're probably getting people who almost like I almost was, who like, I just give up on this religion thing. I mean, it's a false fake. It's, and it's not a fake.
And we actually have a couple, he wrestles with us. He's one of those that it started bringing in. He wasn't initially one of the, not one of us, but he's not there weekly, things like that, through our Bible study. But 2 or 3 weeks ago, him and his wife, when they first came in just under a year ago, I found out his wife was not really wanting him to come, because we were a ministry. They wanted nothing to do with that. But it goes back to that show the love, just accept people. Well, 2 weeks ago, they got baptized together. And I just submitted a reference for her, because now she's going to work as a church. She wants to work in the kids ministry. And that's like another story to what we were talking about earlier. But, it's those things. It's that type of thing which ruins our witness, not maybe your witness, but the Christian witness, because there's a lot of that. And I like to be the same everywhere I go. My wife's been very big on me. Don't be somebody different at home and somebody different at church. So I'm just crazy everywhere I go. I just make it a blanket thing.
Well, she said what you get. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like that. And that's part of her thing as a kid. I mean, I think she ended up getting into drugs, and she was, probably suicidal at times. And she just didn't see what, I think that's where my passion comes. And like I said earlier, God's calling me to something new, not leave this ministry, but there's more to it. And I'm trying to figure out what he's wanting, because there's too many people that think they know what Christianity is based on how this country has decided to represent Christians. And it's like, I have this goal to show what true Christianity, walking with Christ, looks like. And I don't know where this is leading, but I'm saying it now. Let's see, what is this, October? Yeah. So it's in October 2025. We're not in 26. At some point in the future, there's going to be more to what we do, because I feel that God's calling me specifically to be able to help show and represent what he meant when he said, walk with me.
I like to call it you ever heard the song back in 1960s, Harper Valley PTA, where Jeannie C. Riley's singing this song, the Harper Valley PTA, and all these people, and of course she shouldn't have dressed in a miniskirt and all that kind of stuff, but the point is, all these people were against her in the town and ridiculing her and all this, and then she starts spouting it out what they're doing.
Yeah,
all these things. They act one way at home and then another way out in the public. And I get it. I mean, I totally get it, because, and this is another thing about young people, and you're spot on with this ministry, Kyle. I mean, you're spot on, because with the kids, there are predators out there. Predators come to me and want to sell me drugs. They know when you got an issue at home. These predators do. Yeah, and so one guy was trying to sell me drugs, and I was in high school, and I didn't do it. And the reason I didn't do it is I had a cousin who had been in drugs. She wound up ODing. And so my grandmother, and I think my grandmother knew more than I thought she did. My grandmother would say, Donna, it would break my heart if you did what Cindy does. So this guy comes up to me, he's going to sell me some drugs. And he said, you'll feel better. You'll be able to forget everything. That's a lie.
Yeah.
You'll only forget it for a temporary season.
That's right.
Comes right back. All you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. And so this guy walks up to me, wants to sell me some drugs. All I could see was my grandmother's face plastered all over. And I thought about it, though, Kyle.
Of course.
I thought about it. I almost did it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't do that. But my grandmother believing in me is the reason I didn't do it.
And I think that our youth today even have it well worse off. And here's why. The internet, these games, Roblox. I don't really get what Roblox is, and I know that predators hang out in there. And it's all of this internet interaction that these kids have, and anybody can be anybody behind the keyboard. So you can pretend to be and I just watched something on this the other day. They'll get in there and pretend to be a 15-year-old kid, build a relationship and a friendship, and then be like, oh, hey, by the way, well, now the connection's already made. And the thing is that these kids, some are even, when I say kids, I mean, you should not have, and I don't want to preach to everybody, but I'm going to preach to everybody. You should never let your child, whether they're specifically if they're like 5 to 10, but even all the way up to 18, unfettered access that you are not monitoring on the internet. Get them a phone. Okay, everybody has a phone. Go through the phone. I think we did talk about this a little bit last time, but they don't have a right to privacy. They're your children, and you're the parent. And so whenever something happens and you've allowed them to have that opportunity where you're not looking and checking and just popping in, then don't sit there and say, I don't understand what happened. The internet happened. Satan hides in the internet, and that's exactly where he loves to
any way he possibly can.
Yep.
And I'm just telling, and I agree with you. It's worse now than it was when I was a teenager. You have all this bullying that happens, and everybody wants to be part of a group, all of those things. And it's just, I don't know. Parents need to be nosy. I mean, I was a nosy parent, and I'm telling you, my son wasn't perfect, but I'm going to tell you what, I felt like God gave him to me. It's up to me to handle it. It's not up to teachers or anything. It's up to me. And I would just spot check his room. And he would say, well, Mom, you're not going to find anything in there. I'm not doing anything. But I wanted him to know. I was afraid because, he wouldn't be friends with everybody. So I was afraid somebody could hide something in his room, not him. I was afraid that he'd get mixed up with somebody, and there they'd go on and hide it and stash in your room, Brad, so nobody will ever find it. And I wanted to catch something like that. I never did find anything like that. But you have to think ahead. And people say, well, you don't trust your kids. It's not the kids I don't trust. It's the predators who are out there who are trying to find ways to break up the family.
And you're right. I don't trust my kids because they're kids. They're not grown. Their brain's not fully formed until they're 25 at best. And so you're right.
40 or 50.
Yeah. I'm still working on it, I think. I don't know. I tell people I grew up once and I didn't like it. So now I just keep acting like a kid. But it's not that I don't trust them in a way that they can't do anything, but I don't trust them because they don't have the brain formation yet to be able to choose some of the right from wrong. And so, but again, they're kids, they're children, they're your children. And I'm not going to let some friend come and search my son's room but that's my son. And that's, it's my house. And so he knows. All I have to do is say, give me your phone. He's like, uh-oh. But I am very blessed. I do want to say this. I'm very blessed. My son's 17. He'll be going to college next year. Hopefully this week we find out if it's going to be the University of Arkansas, actually. Man, all the things that I did wrong in life while he was alive, the thing I did right was being a father. And I have a son that is a man of God and lives and walks that way. And it's crazy at his age, but he had a friend that he was talking to a lot, and I said, hey, you hadn't been talking to your friend. What's going on? Oh, they do a lot of drinking and I don't want to be around that. Oh,
that's great.
Okay. I was almost like shocked because even though I know he's a good kid, he's still 17. And so make those decisions on your own at that age is just amazing. So, and I was for 10 years of his life, I was not on the path with God. I was running and I was mad and I was angry and I was dealing with, what later came out to be PTSD and stuff that I didn't at the time. But, I'm just proud of him. I could talk about him for, any day, any time, but he is what it looks like to walk how Jesus is. Is he perfect? No way. Does he have an attitude? Well, I knocked the attitude out of him. Absolutely. But man, I can truly have a feeling of trust where if he gets into a situation, I believe that he will call me because I've always given him that attitude or that out. If you're in something that you just can't deal with and you need help, call me. I'm not going to be mad. We may talk about why you got yourself into that, but I'm not going to be mad. And I don't know if I did anything wrong in life. The one thing I feel that I've done so far that was halfway decent was being a dad. And that's what we're missing in this country is we don't have dads that will step up and not only be the authority figure for their kid, but be the best friend of their kid. You can be both, but you can't be your kid's best friend without the fear of the Lord, to where if I look at him, he knows I'm going to get up and do some whipping, So anyways, I could go on forever with him, but I'm proud at least that I did one thing right in life.
Well, I think you've done a lot of things right, but knowing that there's a consequence for what you do, the kids are not feeling that anymore.
No.
And so anyway, they have to. Let's go into a commercial break. I can't believe half the show is already over.
It's been a
We'll
great
be right back, everybody. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
Okay, we are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Age Television Talk Show where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone. So I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. I've got Kyle with me. Now, Kyle's with Ephesians Pro Wrestling. And I'm just telling you, when Rob Patch told me about your ministry, and he said, would you like to have Kyle on your show? And I said, oh, yeah. I didn't even let him get the words out of his mouth real good. And I was like, yes, I want Kyle on the, and let me tell you another reason why. Because I did a little, background on you. I mean, I don't just like throw people on my show, Sure. And so if for one thing, if Rob's going to recommend you, it's good. That's just the way it goes. So, but not only that, but I think people are, for the most calls, there are so many, and most everybody I know, they'll say, I'm not going to go to church. There's too many hypocrites in there. I hear that all the time. And then I'll say, well, you might consider me a hypocrite too, because I'm not really perfect or anything. And they'll say, well, I think you're pretty good. And I'm like, well, I'm not up there, but there are other ministries out there, like the Cowboy Church ministry. I'll give you this one, for instance. Yep. And that's with my brother-in-law, who's a cowboy. And he never darted a church door, ever. And then he found out about Cowboy Church through a rodeo. This guy was like award-winning. He had trophies all over the place. He was a cowboy. Yeah. And so anyway, somebody in the family had to be a naysayer. So somebody in the family said, well, I've heard he's going to that cowboy church where they ride horses down the aisle. And I was like, that's a lie. They don't ride horses in there. I think you'd be glad he's going somewhere. And this seems to be the perfect fit for him. And then there's motorcycle ministry. I'm going to tell you, some of the nicest folks you're going to meet are going to be the motorcycle gangs. They're not gangs. They have a ministry. Well, they're going to be able to talk with people that wouldn't listen to me. They consider me a boring life, that I've never experienced anything ever in my life. And so, And then I have people that I can talk to, people that would listen to me that wouldn't listen to anybody else. The same with you. And there's a lot of people who love wrestling out there, especially the pro wrestling. So I think you're spot on.
Well, it's funny because pro wrestling in general, outside of ministry, is one of the most secular and possibly unchristian-like things out there. Nothing's different than it was in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. The drugs and I've only been in a couple of outside of ministry locker rooms, and not for shows like wrestling in them, but we've done some ring rentals and things like that. And I've never been in a locker room in the secular wrestling world where I didn't almost come out high from a contact high.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that the wrestling world in general needs Jesus, and you're starting to see it happen. You're starting to see some of these WWE people that are getting baptized, and there is a revival that's going on, I believe, in this country, not just in the wrestling world. I think if we can hold on to it, then it's going all over, but it's very different for us. So our locker room is not like most locker rooms. One of our guys who does wrestle all over the country said, this is the only locker room where I can put my wallet down and I know it's not going to get stolen.
Yeah.
And we built, because we started bringing in women. We've never had women in the organization before. And this year when we took over, we decided we need, in my opinion, women have the same talents. So let's display those talents. It's not like it was in the 90s where it's just about sex and sex appeal. It's about these girls, they put in the work like we do. So let's put them out here. And I was very particular that when we do this, we're going to make this different than your normal wrestling world. So we actually built constructed ourselves, but we built a women's locker room and a men's locker room. We had our ladies match last week or a couple weeks ago, and they're not used to that. They're used to being put in a closet. They're used to be putting outside with the guys. But we have an entire area. Actually, the men's side is 8x3, just enough that they can change clothes. The women's side has a lounge with couches, and then we have vanities in there for their makeup and everything. So they're not used to that. But that's what I want is not only on the fan side of things, but we have an opportunity to bring in wrestlers that have never been in a church also, and show them the difference of what they deal with daily, and then how we treat them, and whether it's a man or a woman. But there's so many opportunities for us. And we also have a kids program. We have 30 kids that come in every Sunday. They train to be wrestlers. They have their own shows. They're their own brand. But 30 minutes out of their training time, they're doing Bible studies too. So the older kids are in a book and they're going through some curriculum. The younger kids they have to memorize a verse each week before they can get into the ring. So we don't only just have the adult side, but we have a kids ministry that's built in as well, that those kids are like, they are getting, some of them don't even go to church, but they're still getting scripture. They're getting Bible time when they come wrestle, because that's what they want to do when they grow up. So that's another unique side of what we do.
What are you seeing in the kids of today versus, say, the kids of the 70s when I was growing up?
I think it's hard to compare, and here's why. I think in the 70s, which I didn't grow up, I grew up in the 80s, but I think even when I grew up, or even in the 70s, church was still important at that time.
Yeah.
And I know in the 70s it was kind of like where we're facing now, but church was still very important, especially down here in the South where we are. It's the Bible Belt for a reason. I got a fly that just entered my house. But it was important. So, youth groups back in even my day were humongous. We were always together. We were always doing things, but today they're not. Like my youth group, we have like 15 kids, which is big for us, because when they called me to this church, it was specifically, they did not have a youth program. They had youth with no program. So I came in and helped them kind of build the program, and we went from 4 or 5 to we're at 15, 20, depends on the Sunday and the Wednesday. But I think what's hard now is that church is the weird thing now versus back then. So being a Bible believer, or even believing in Christ or talking about church, is very weird to do outside of those. And that's where I try to make these kids realize, you know what? And I have a shirt that says I'm weird. And the reason I wear it is because people say, oh, you're weird. And they'll make a comment. Well, now I can tell them why I'm weird, because I believe in Jesus. And so that's what I'm trying to tell these kids. Don't, Romans 1:16, do not be ashamed of the gospel. Don't be ashamed. Go out there and feel free and confident. And if you're being made fun of because you go to church, or that you maybe bring a Bible to school or whatever, guess what? Jesus was too, and he told us we would be. So the priorities of kids, and quite frankly, the priorities of parents now, are totally worldly versus spiritually. And so that's where I think everything's changed over the time that they're in right now, because religion or church or faith or whatever you want to call it is second nature versus first nature.
Well, and then too, back in my day, we still had those grandmas that were grandmas. Grandmas aren't grandmas anymore.
No, but my son's grandma is, because she'll put a whipping on him like she did me when I was growing up.
Well, those grandmas would want to teach you how to cook.
Yeah.
They would want to teach you how to do different things. And the grandpas wanted to teach you how to fish, how to hunt, how to do all those things. And so, especially, I feel sorry for men. I really do, because there's been this long thing about trying to feminize men for decades now. And it's not the kid's fault. It's it's just the way the world is. Of course, you can always see a different way, but what I'm saying is you're absolutely correct when you say things are different now than they were back then.
Mm-hmm. They are, and it's you said hunt and fish, and that's one thing that I grew my son up to do. Like, I didn't grow up. My dad took us fishing all the time, but he wouldn't take us hunting. His dad, my grandfather, he died when I was 12, but I still miss him more than anybody that I've ever lost for whatever reason. He hunted all the time, but my dad did not. My dad, not that he didn't like it, but I think at one point he went to hunt and he just couldn't make himself kill a deer. Yeah. Well, then my father-in-law got me into hunting because it's something I always wanted to do. My grandfather was going to take me, but he got cancer and passed away before he could. Mm-hmm. And then I began hunting 20-something years ago. Well, I actually got my dad into hunting. So after all that time, he was on the deer lease with us. And then when my son turned 5, I started taking him. And it's a time where just us, it's great. We go down to the deer lease, and it's me, my son, my father-in-law, and my father. Like, what's better for my son than to have both grandfathers and his dad in that, and we cherish that. And it's not necessarily about the hunting, but it's about the time that we get to spend, because time's limited, and for some of us limited more than others. But the fact is that tomorrow's never promised. And so my dad's going through some health things, and I know that in time, as your parents get older, they're going to pass away at some point. So it's those things that you just have to take the time and enjoy the moments that you're in, because you never know whenever you don't have those moments. And that is with children. That is with your parents if they're still living. That's with your siblings. If you don't have a relationship with your siblings, you get one. My brother is the production manager for us at Ephesians Pro Wrestling. So we're together all the time there. My son is a referee. We're together all the time there. And so it's those things that you really have to make your priorities and set them, and make sure that, you'll see people that will say, well, God first, then a family, and then no, it doesn't work that way. You can't have, if you're looking at a structure and you have God first, then family, well, where does God go when you get to family? And then when you get to work, where's God at? So God has to be a part of everything. So God is first, but he's got to be a part of everything. He's not first, but he's all. And so you have to have God in your family. You have to have God in your work. You have to have God in everything you do. You can't just put him on the shelf whenever it's family time. And a lot of people will do that. And that's what we're talking about with that different in the, at home than they are. And they put God on the shelf when they get home. You can't do that. So
I think I totally understand what you're saying there. And divorce is more prevalent now in ministers. I mean, in their lives, and some of them, because I'll just use mine for an example. I mean, they were at every church function. There was, everything, which was good to do. It was a good thing. But the problem is you've got to have some home life too. There's got to be some structure there as well. Mm-hmm. And so I know a lot of churches that they want their ministers and the wives to go take a month-long vacation, mm-hmm. just to be with each other. And I think that's a grand idea, so they can bond.
Yes. And that's one thing that we've done as a family is, man, I really love just going somewhere, just us three, where we used to, every time we went somewhere, we'd go with other people. But this weekend I tried to get them to go to Arkansas so my wife can see it, because she didn't go when I took my son for the campus tour. And Mama's not real thrilled about him going to school 4.5 hours away. And so I know if I can get her out there, then she'll be more comfortable. But, I was looking forward to that. It didn't work out, but they're on fall break this week. So my wife's in the school system. She's a diagnostician, and my son's obviously in high school, and they're both off this week. So this week, I'm working. I need to work, but at the same time, I can take those times that we can go and knock each other in the head, because we like to give each other a hard time. We prank each other and make fun of each other in a loving way. But so and then by Friday I'll be ready for them to go back to school and work, because I work from home, so it'll be nice to have them go back. But it's just a dynamic that you don't see anymore. Family is dad at work all the time. A lot of times mom at work all the time, the kid at home by themselves all the time, and they're going here and going there, and you may catch each other on the weekend if you're lucky. But we make sure that we have that time that we can at least spend with each other, even if we don't really talk. We're all in the same room, and maybe we're watching TV or she's doing some more. But if we're all in there, like last night, my son had some homework to get done, so he was on the couch working on his homework. I was reading my Bible and my stuff for tonight, because we have Bible study for EPW, and then my wife was doing whatever on her phone. We were all in the same room doing that, so if we wanted to talk, we were there. And so I hate it whenever my son's in one room, she's in one room, and I'm like, no, everybody, at least for a little bit, come in here. Until we get on each other's nerves, then I say, okay, break, get out of here.
Yeah, we'll break it up.
Yeah, because we're normal. And I think that's what people forget about ministers. I think that's what people forget about preachers. I think preachers even forget that about themselves. They are humans. They are not, and even though they're held on a higher standard, they're not higher authority. They're not higher people. They go through the same things that me and you go through. Mm-hmm. And if they can admit that, and that's why I'm very big on admitting it. I go through my own struggles. I go through my own sin. But I also repent. So when people look at a pastor and, oh my gosh, this happened. Well, why wouldn't it? They're human. And even pastors have to realize that. So, I just like being the same way. Wherever we're going, I'm going to be the wild, crazy one that always makes, loud noises and gets attention and things like that. That's just who I am at home. You can ask my wife, and that's who I am in public.
Let's talk about the industry, about the ministry. I mean, not industry. And let's talk a little bit more. If someone wanted to be involved in the ministry, what would they need to do?
They can reach out. So our ministry is based in Fate, Texas, which is about 40 miles east of Dallas. And so as far as being an active part, if they're semi-local, we meet every Monday and Thursday, and then we have shows on Saturday. So, if they want to be a wrestler, we have wrestling school. If they want to be a ref, we have ref school. If they want to be just a volunteer and help out wherever, maybe set up the ring on travel shows or whatever. We just have guys that come in on Mondays that really don't have a role per se, but they're part of the ministry, because Mondays we train, the wrestlers train from 7 to 9. And then from 9 to 10, we do Bible study every week. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday or what, we will do Bible study. And so we have about 40 men that come in on Monday nights, and we socialize. Some of the guys are training, some of the guys are maybe setting up, some of the guys are just talking, but it's socializing with Christian men. So to be a part of us in the active role, you just reach out to us. We have a website, we have Facebook, email, phone, everything. But, reach out to us and just come be a part of us. But on the outside, maybe you're not close, but you want to support, we really do. We're a 501c, so we live on donations. So if you felt led to help contribute there, then we're always open to that too. But really, we just want people to come in and be open-minded to Scripture. You don't have to be a Christian, just like you don't have to be a Christian to go to church. You don't have to. You can be whatever you are coming in, but you have to be open-minded and at least take the opportunity to listen to what we're talking about, what we're saying, and then we'll let the Lord deal with the other piece of that on His own. But we do a lot of traveling. So if we're ever in the area and you see us and you want to stop by and meet us, or just maybe help set up the ring or just come in and just see who we are, we're really an open door. We let anybody that wants to come in, and then the more specific roles, of course, we're gonna vet you a little bit, make sure we're gonna background check you with kids and things like that. But really, it's any way and every way you want to possibly be involved, we allow it.
You know, my best friend in school, Robin, was on the wrestling team. And I mean, you know, you have that, what you think wrestling is. And then when you have a friend who's involved, you understand what it is. She had to be in great shape. There was a lot of exercise there that she had to do. And it's just another way of staying fit.
Well, and it is. And that's the thing is that pro wrestling, of course, people say it's fake. I invite them into a training session to see how fake it may be, but you know, it's a lot of cardio. So you're in a ring basically running and gunning from anywhere from 6 minutes to 30 minutes. And so the training is very high intensity, high cardio, a lot of running, a lot of, you know, agility type stuff. You got to be flexible. So when you get done with a 2-hour training session, you will just want to collapse. And that's every week. Because you have to be able to go at a fast pace and keep up without what we call getting blown up, out of breath, and just, you know, completely exhausted. Because one thing we do is that because we're never looked at very seriously, because we're a Christian ministry in wrestling, we make sure that we train even harder in the wrestling ring to put on the best product out there. And then once we get people to take us serious on that aspect, then they're going to listen to us in the gospel as well. So it's not like, you know, there's a lot of Christian wrestling ministries out there, and some are really good in the spiritual side of things, and the wrestling kind of is weak. But we want to make sure that we're top notch on both. And where I'm not saying we're the best out there, but we just bring a different level and a different element than a lot of the others do, because we have such a large organization of men that are ours. They're not just wrestlers from all over that will come into a show. So,
right. You know, so, and I wanted to say this too about wrestling is a form of exercise. And you're not only exercising your body, but you're exercising your brain as well. You know, decades of kids sitting behind a keyboard or sitting behind playing games, those kinds of things, that's not good for the brain. It's just not. But when you can get some oxygen in there, I mean, that helps.
And I'll tell you, I had the major surgery back in May, so I've been down since then. I just now got released to start my training back, and I feel miserable. I mean, I've gained so much weight, and I just feel like garbage, because that weekly routine of, you know, staying in shape, and I've never been perfect in shape, but man, I am so out of it, and it's going to take me forever. It's going to take me forever to get back into that ring shape. But hey, that's what comebacks are for.
Absolutely. And think about how you're going to be helping other folks. I mean, this is going to be huge.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I got so many things in my brain already cooking.
So we're going to have to call it a day. Man, it's been a quick hour. How can folks get in contact with you? What's the website, Facebook page, those kinds of things? Yeah,
so we have a website and Facebook. It's Ephesians Pro Wrestling. So our website is www.ephesiansprowrestling.org. Also, Facebook page, if you type in Ephesians Pro Wrestling, it'll pop up. We have Facebook, Instagram, and then our email, if you want to get in contact with us, is info@ephesians.wrestling. I'm sorry, info@ephesiansprowrestling.org. And so feel free to contact us there. And if you're ever curious as to what we do, a little bit more, is every Saturday night, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern on Abundant TV. We have a weekly show called Saturday Night Battleground. So not only will you get to see some good, hard-hitting professional wrestling, but each show ends with a gospel presentation as well. So you'll get a little bit of both of us on that.
That's awesome, Kyle. Guys, thank you so much for watching. You're the reason we do what we do. Continue sending email, Donna@donnazedge.com, and I'll be seeing you next time around.